Few public voices sound safer than an advice columnist. That is exactly what makes Dear Debbie by Freida McFadden feel so sharp, so fast. This is a thriller built around a woman people trust, with the parts of their lives they would hide from almost anyone else, and the book knows how unsettling that is from the very beginning. An advice columnist looks like comfort. She is supposed to take in panic, shame, betrayal, confusion, and turn it all into a calm answer. She sounds steady. She sounds fair. She sounds like someone who can sort out the mess without making it worse. But Dear Debbie leans into the part we usually skip past. A person who receives private confessions for a living is sitting on a strange kind of power. That is the hook here, and it feels genuinely fresh. In most thrillers, secrets have to be dug up, overheard, stolen, or forced into the light. In this one, people hand them over themselves. They write in willingly. They reduce their lives to the rawest details and send them to someone they have never met, hoping for clarity, forgiveness, or permission. That changes the whole pressure of the story. The woman at the center does not need to chase hidden truths. They arrive addressed to her. And once you feel that, the role starts to shift. Advice is never just advice. Every response carries judgment. Every clean, helpful sentence suggests a private scale in the writer's mind. Who is innocent, who is weak, who is lying, who deserves sympathy, who does not. Dear Debbie takes that familiar public voice and lets a shadow fall across it. You still recognize the wise aunt shape of the figure. You just stop feeling entirely safe inside it. That is also where McFadden's touch helps. She does not need to overstate the menace. She lets the surface stay composed while the psychological pressure keeps building underneath. The result is a setup that feels simple when you first hear it, and a little more dangerous each time you turn it over. A woman who listens to everyone. A woman everyone trusts. A woman who may be doing much more with that trust than anyone realizes. What makes the opening land is how quickly it turns closeness into unease. The book does not need a huge premise speech or a pile of background to get there. It just asks you to sit with one fact. Some of the most intimate things people will ever say are said to a stranger who has the authority to answer back. Once that clicks, the whole atmosphere changes. That is a great place for a thriller to begin, because after that, every letter feels like leverage, and every reply carries the faint sound of a verdict. Episode 1: Suburban Stressors and Retaliation. Meet Debbie Mullen, a former advice columnist and app developer currently managing her teenage daughters. In Debbie's house, mornings already come with terms. Lexi does not talk before school. Debbie is not supposed to ask questions. No "how did you sleep?" No "how are you?" No harmless little mother noises at all. So, when Lexi comes into the kitchen in giant headphones, an oversized hoodie, and pajama pants she fully intends to wear to class, Debbie keeps eating her fiber cereal and says nothing. Lexi is Debbie's 17-year-old daughter, and she looks so much like her mother that it feels rude. Same dark hair, same sharp face, same brain that runs a little too hot. Lexi only breaks the silence when she notices Debbie's dress, the lipstick, the makeup, the fact that her mother actually dried her hair for once. "What are you dressed up for?" "The gardening magazine," Debbie says. "They're coming at 10. That gets a small nod. Then a miracle. Good luck. For 1 second, Debbie almost enjoys it. Then Lexi looks at the box of canned food by the door and wrinkles her nose. "You're really bringing all that to school? You're going to look like a garbage woman." The warmth dies right there. Before Debbie can answer, her younger daughter rushes in, grabs an apple, and heads for the door. Debbie tells her Shell pick her up after soccer. The girl stops cold, hands in her pockets. Eyes down. She says Shell take the bus instead. Debbie pushes once, then twice. Finally, Lexi sighs and says what her sister will not. She got kicked off the team? That lands hard. The younger girl lives for soccer. Debbie has spent years driving to dawn practices, buying shin guards, washing grass out of socks, and watching that child run like joy is easy. She asks what happened. The girl only asks for one thing: don't call the coach. The panic in that request is worse than the news itself. After the front door closes behind her, Debbie turns back to Lexi. Do you know why? Lexi rolls her eyes, but she answers, his gross. My friend said he keeps accidentally walking into the locker room. The cereal turns to paste in Debbie's mouth. A horn blasts outside before she can ask more. Lexi's boyfriend is in the driveway, as usual, leaning on that horn like the whole street works for him. Lexi brightens for him in a way she never brightens for her mother anymore. She grabs her backpack and heads out without another word. Debbie goes to the window and watches the beat-up red car back out of the driveway. She does not like the boy. She does not like his appetite, his manners, or the way he looks at Lexi. That last part bothers her most. There is a greedy confidence in his face that makes something old and ugly stir in her memory. She is still at the window when the pounding starts at the front door. The neighbor on her porch looks furious enough to break the glass with his bare hands. Debbie makes him wait long enough to ring twice more, then she slips a box cutter into the pocket of her dress and opens the door. He accuses her at once. She broke into his basement. She destroyed the wiring to his office. She did it because she complained about his music. His voice is loud. His face is red. He clearly enjoys the idea of cornering a woman alone on her own porch. Debbie keeps one hand in her pocket and gives him nothing. Do you have proof? That slows him down. He does not. He has certainty, temper, and a threat about cameras. Debbie widens her eyes, offers sympathy, and suggests teenagers. By the time he stomps away, he is still angry, but he sounds less sure. Her phone starts ringing before she even gets back to the kitchen. It is the editor from the local paper. He wants her in the office this afternoon. He will not say why. Debbie is still holding the phone when Cooper comes downstairs. This is Cooper Mullen, Debbie's husband, who works as an accountant at a local firm. He comes in with his tie hanging loose, a shaving nick on his chin, and the same decent face that still softens her on bad mornings. Debbie offers him cereal. He sits. His phone rings. He glances at the screen and turns it away before he silences it. The move is small. Debbie sees it anyway. She knots his tie for him because he still cannot get it right. He tells her she looks great. He remembers the photo shoot. He kisses her with his hands warm on her waist, and for a second, the morning gets easier. Then she asks about his meeting with his boss, the one where he is finally supposed to push for a partnership. She feels him go tight under her hands. It's supposed to happen, he says. He does not sound like a man expecting good news. True. After he leaves, Debbie opens Findly on her phone. The app is hers. She built it for the family. It shows the live location of anyone who shares with her, and if a phone stays somewhere longer than 10 minutes, it saves that stop in a history log. A live dot can vanish. The history stays. Right now, the girls are headed toward school. Cooper is moving toward the office. That settles her for about 5 minutes. Then she waits for the magazine crew. A coffee is ready. The yard looks perfect. 10 o'clock comes and goes, then 10:15, then 10:25. When Debbie finally calls the magazine, she gets bounced through a receptionist and hold music before the journalist comes on the line sounding polished and sorry. They changed direction, she says. On the way out from Debbie's house, they saw the roses down the block. Roses are classic. Roses fit the spread better. Someone was supposed to call and cancel. The neighbor stole the shoot. The journalist offers a free trial subscription, as if that fixes anything. Debbie hangs up before she says something she cannot take back. Her garden is still outside the window. So is the neighbor's hill. Now the day has a shape. Cooper walks into the wrong meeting. Cooper spends the walk from his desk to his boss's office, trying to look like a man with leverage. He does not feel like one. A coworker leans into the doorway of his tiny office before the meeting and gives him the usual pep talk. He deserves the partnership. Everyone knows it. The firm leans on him. He only needs to ask. Then the coworker notices his tie and laughs. Debbie usually does that for you, right? Usually, Cooper says. He tries to fix it and only makes it worse. The meeting goes bad fast. His boss does not ask him to sit. Cooper asks about the partnership anyway. Years of work, bigger client load. Loyalty. The answer comes clean and cold. No, he is useful as staff. A partner is something else. A leader is something else. The firm can find more people like him. That last part gets through. Cooper hears himself say that if there is no future here, maybe he should leave. He expects a pause, a warning, a little fear. His boss says he accepts the resignation. For a second, Cooper cannot breathe. He tries once to walk it back without begging. It gets him nowhere. When he steps out of the office, he has no promotion, no plan, and no job worth naming tomorrow. He sits in his car for a long time with both hands on the wheel. One thought keeps circling. Tell Debbie. Another thought hits harder. Don't drink. He has spent years pretending the problem is manageable as long as he names it something smaller. Stress, a bad week, one slip. Today, strips that lie down to the studs. He knows exactly where he needs to go tonight if he wants to get through the evening sober. The church basement. The AA meeting starts after dinner. He has not told Debbie about it. He has not told her about any of them. He checks finally on his phone. Her app still has his live dot on. He tells himself that if he kills the live sharing before the meeting, that will be enough. He does not think much farther than that. Right now, he cannot think much farther than the next hour. Then his phone lights up with a message from Debbie. How did it go? He stares at the screen until it goes dark again. Harley thinks she knows the marriage. Harley Siburn works at Titan Fitness, and she thinks she is being smart. She spots Debbie on the gym floor before Debbie sees her. Late morning, tense shoulders, a face that still looks put together, but only just. Harley likes that. She likes catching people in the seam between public and private. That is where the useful details slip out. The friendship with Debbie started because Harley got curious. She had seen the name on the check-in screen one day, Deborah Mullen, same last name as the man she believes is Cooper Mullen. And after that, curiosity turned into coffee, then more coffee, then an open door into the wife's life. Harley had only meant to gather information. Then she found out she liked Debbie. That makes things messier, though not enough to stop anything. She walks over while Debbie is stretching. You're here late. First with his, my schedule changed, Debbie says. Harley asks about the book club. Debbie says she still wants Harley there. That part matters. Harley likes rooms full of married women. They tell on themselves all the time. Are you sure I don't need to bring anything? Harley asks. No. There's always too much food. Harley nods, then gives the reminder that matters. No avocado for me. Even a bite. Debbie says she remembers. Harley smiles and heads back toward the weights, but her mind is somewhere else entirely. The man she calls Cooper told her his marriage is dead. He told her the house is cold. He told her his wife is difficult, fragile, impossible to leave cleanly. Harley believes him because she wants to and because he sounds tired when he says it. Tired men feel honest. She also believes she is different, younger, hotter, easier. Her phone buzzes in her pocket. A short message, later if I can get away. That is enough to put a grin on her face for the next hour. By the time she leaves for the book club, Harley already knows what she wants from the afternoon. More proof. More cracks in the marriage. One useful confession from the wife. She does not know yet that she is walking into a room with a much worse plan already waiting on the tray. Book club collapses first. Debbie makes 2 stops before book club. First, the nursery. She buys Japanese beetle lure refills and tucks the bright green boxes into the trunk where nobody will ask about them. Then she goes home and makes sandwiches. Turkey, avocado, sun-dried tomato spread. Harley's allergy makes the tray easier to manage. Harley will stay away from it. The other women will not. End quote. Debbie adds a small amount of syrup of ipecac to the spread, mixes it in until it disappears, and cuts the sandwiches into neat triangles. She does not rush. Anger works better when her hands stay steady. The hostess opens the door to a house so polished it barely looks lived in. She kisses the air near Debbie's cheek, gets Harley's name wrong, and tells Debbie her dress makes her look older. The 2 other women in the living room are already smiling like they arrived early enough to earn points for it. Harley looks around once, wide-eyed, then hides it fast. The talk starts. The book is important, the prose is difficult. The conversation slides toward that familiar edge where the hostess likes to remind everyone she once took an English class seriously. One of the other women starts circling Debbie in the softest, meanest way possible. Maybe the book was too much for some readers. Maybe shorter books would be kinder. Maybe Debbie would be happier in another group. Debbie sits there with her smile on and waits until the tray starts to move. The hostess takes a sandwich first, then the other two women. Harley reaches for one and stops. Right, she says. Avocado. That saves her. Debbie never touches the tray. The collapse comes in stages. First, the hostess goes quiet in the middle of a sentence and presses a hand to her stomach. Then one of the others turns pale. Then all three of them start looking at one another as if the room itself has gone bad. Is it hot in here? The hostess asks. Nobody answers in time. She runs for the bathroom, knocking a bottle off the side table on the way. One woman heads for the front door and does not quite make it. The third sits frozen for one ugly second before bolting after them. Harley stares after the mess and lowers her voice. Debbie, this looks like food poisoning. Debbie blinks at her with wide, blank eyes. You think? By the time they leave, the hostess is still being sick. One woman is crouched in the powder room, and the third has made it to the front lawn only to double over there. Debbie walks back toward her own house with Harley beside her and the tray much lighter in her hands. Terrible bug going around, Debbie says. Harley gives her a long look and says nothing. That is fine with Debbie. The point already landed. The paper lets her go. The newspaper office sits in a tired strip mall next to Chinese takeout and under a massage place. Debbie walks in carrying nothing but her purse and the last scraps of patience she has left. The first thing she notices is the senior editor's desk. It has been cleared out. Not messy, cleared, gone cleared. No stacks of paper, no framed photo, no mug, just the pale square where the photo used to be, and a desk that now looks suddenly disposable. Untenant. The secretary tells Debbie to go right in. The editor is waiting behind his desk with his mouth already set for apology. Debbie asks where the senior editor is. He dodges that and goes straight to the letter. The one from the woman whose husband controlled every dollar in the house. The one, Debbie answered honestly. He reads her own words back to her like evidence. You do not need his permission for anything. Speak to a divorce lawyer. She left him, he says. Good, Debbie says. He stares at her like she has lost her mind. Then he explains the rest. The husband is threatening a lawsuit. Advertisers are nervous. The paper is family-oriented. He cannot have a columnist telling wives to leave their husbands. The only way to calm the threat is to fire the people responsible, Debbie, and the senior editor. So you're firing me because somebody richer got angry. He winces. He does not correct her. The secretary follows Debbie to her desk while she gathers a notepad, a few pens, and the photo of Cooper with the girls. That is almost all she has there. At the door, the secretary asks for the office key and then starts talking about the sanctity of marriage like she is reading from a script. Unquote. Debbie hands over the key. She leaves with her photo under one arm and a very clear idea of what the editor deserves. The coach gives Debbie a better reason. When Debbie gets home, brownies are in the oven. Her younger daughter comes in through the front door, drops her backpack, and hovers in the kitchen like a child who wants to lie and knows she is about to be bad at it. Debbie asks again about soccer. The answer comes too quickly. I got sick of it. That would be funny on another day. Debbie says nothing about how many years of frozen sidelines say otherwise. She only asks one question. You're sure you don't want me to call the coach? Panic flashes again. No, Debbie nods. I won't call him. That promise is exact. She will not call. She drives to the school instead. The canned food box gets her through the front office without trouble. A few minutes later, she is in the coach doorway with the brownies in her hands. He is at his desk sorting papers. He looks up, lets his eyes travel over her for a second too long, then smiles at the brownies. Debbie introduces herself as the younger girl's mother and asks why her daughter was cut. He answers like he is explaining simple math to a slow student. The girl needs to get faster. She needs to lose weight. 15 pounds would help. 20 would be better. He has extra players. Someone had to go. Debbie sits very still. She's 15. He shrugs. And then he keeps going. Nobody wants to watch chubby girls run around a field. If Debbie wants to help, she can stop making brownies. It would not hurt if Debbie lost a few pounds too. That line tells her everything the rumor from the locker room already suggested. She thanks him for his time because screaming in his office would only make him feel important, and walks out before her face gives her away. By the time she reaches the parking lot, the anger is cold enough to use. 2 lies at dinner, 2 missions after midnight. Cooper gets home before dinner and the house is dark when he walks in. Debbie asks about the meeting. He says the partnership is off the table. He does not say more. She lies and tells him the photo shoot went great. She does not mention the magazine. She does not mention the paper. Dinner is late. That gives Cooper the excuse he wants. He says he will grab fast food. He reaches for his keys. A second later, the live dot on finally disappears from Debbie's screen. She stares at the map for a beat. Finally still keeps the history of any stop longer than 10 minutes. She knows that because she built it. Even so, a vanished dot still feels personal. Cooper comes back much later with a greasy bag of fries and a face gone hollow, with the kind of news a person can only delay, never hide. This time, he tells the rest of it. He quit. Debbie actually forgets about her own firing for a second. You quit? He nods and cannot hold her eyes. She wants to yell. She wants to ask how they are supposed to pay for anything now. Instead, she pours them both Diet Cola, tells him his boss is a fool, and says nothing at all about the paper. He drinks what she hands him. They talk around money, around fear, around the wreckage. Then they go upstairs. At 2 in the morning, Cooper is dead asleep. Debbie dresses in jeans and a black sweater, ties her hair back, and goes downstairs without turning on any lights. The lure packs are where she left them. So is the shovel in the garage. The neighbors' roses are easy to find in the dark. The beds are still warm from the day. Debbie digs 3 shallow pockets in the mulch, buries the lure, refills low and deep, and smooths the dirt back over them with both palms. In a few days, every Japanese beetle in the area will think that yard is a feast. She brushes off her hands and heads back uphill. The coach house takes 15 minutes by car. She parks down the street. Earlier that day, she already confirmed what she hoped to find. No cameras, no dog, and a fake sprinkler head near the lawn. When she twists it loose, a key drops into her hand. Inside, the house is quiet. The coach's phone is charging on the counter. Debbie gets in fast, loads the camera linking app, and leaves behind exactly what tomorrow's anonymous tip will need. By the time she is done, his own device will help explain the rest for her. She is back in the car before the house makes a single sound. At home, one job remains. The paper never revoked her site access. The editor was too busy pretending to be moral. Debbie opens her laptop at the kitchen table, logs into the back end, and uploads the office video she has been saving. She sets it to replace the homepage before dawn, closes the screen, and goes back to bed. When she slips under the covers again, Cooper does not stir. By morning, the suburb is fighting back. Debbie wakes to a phone ringing on the nightstand. She lets it ring once, twice, 3 times. Then she hears Cooper swear softly beside her and snatch it up. The shower is running in the bathroom a minute later when she hears his voice carry through the bedroom door. You fired Debbie? That gets her full attention. By the time she comes out in her robe, Cooper is sitting upright in bed with her phone in one hand and his own in the other. He shows her the paper's homepage. The editor and his secretary are very busy on his desk. Now. The video is looping. The editor is still calling. He says you changed the password, Cooper says. Debbie glances at the screen and gives him a mild look. Then he should call tech support. He studies her face a little too hard. Did you do this? No, she says, because the lie comes easier than the explanation. Then she asks if he wants pancakes. In the kitchen, the younger girl hesitates over breakfast because the coach's words are still sitting under her skin. And Lexi comes in next and asks for a ride to school instead of asking where her boyfriend is. Debbie gives both girls pancakes and tries not to look too relieved when the younger one finally takes one. Then the horn starts outside anyway. Lexi's boyfriend is back in the driveway. Debbie wipes her hands, steps onto the porch, and walks straight to the car. Lexi is riding with me today. He rolls his eyes like she is the unreasonable one. Fine. He peels out of the driveway hard enough to make the gravel spit. At the school drop-off line, a police car is waiting with the lights on. By the time Debbie finds a parking spot and gets to the front lawn, a crowd of parents is already there pretending not to enjoy themselves. The doors open, the coach comes out in cuffs between two officers, yelling that the camera was not his and that he has no idea how that software got onto his phone. Nobody looks convinced. The mothers around Debbie start rewriting the entire past out loud. He always seemed off. He stared too much. He loved control. Debbie adds one quiet line about having seen him watch the girls too closely at practice, and that is enough to push the whole crowd the rest of the way. The coach is driven off. The story is set. On the way home, Debbie passes the neighbor's yard and slows down just enough to enjoy the view. The roses are alive with metallic green beetles. The neighbor is on the lawn, furious, while a man with a camera bag keeps backing away from the flowers. The day is finally starting to pay her back. By late afternoon, the house goes tense again. Lexi and her boyfriend are on the porch. Debbie sees them through the front window before either one knows she is watching. He is holding up his phone. Lexi reaches for it. He keeps it away from her and grabs her arm when she tries again. Debbie yanks the door open so fast, both of them jump. He lets go at once. Lexi is coming inside, Debbie says. For 1 second, he looks as if he might test that. Then he smiles, the cheap smile boys use when they think adults are temporary. He says he will talk to Lexi later and walks back to his car. Inside, Lexi gets angry on instinct. She asks if Debbie was spying. Debbie asks one gentle question about what is going on. Lexi shuts down and goes upstairs. Debbie lets her. There are times to push. There are times to wait. This one still feels like waiting, only not for long. At the shipyard, Lexi's boyfriend loses everything. Lexi comes to Debbie's room later that night with her phone in both hands and fear all over her face. He says if I break up with him, he'll send the pictures to everyone. Debbie holds out her hand. Lexi gives her the phone. The threat is worse than she expected, and exactly what she expected. Threats dressed up like jokes, demands dressed up like love. A boy who thinks panic in a girl's chest is a form of leverage. What does he have? Debbie asks. Lexi covers her face for a second. Pictures. A video. I thought it was just us. Where does he keep them? I don't know. Everywhere. Hidden album. And some fake app. Cloud backup, probably. Passcode? He mostly uses Face ID. That part helps. Debbie asks the rest fast. Has he sent anything yet? Does anyone else have copies? Has he shown friends? Has he ever handed Debbie the phone before? Lexi answers through tears. Months ago, yes, at the kitchen island, when he was showing off the facial recognition and whining because the phone would not unlock unless he stared right at it. Debbie had taken it from him, switched off the attention requirement in settings, and handed it back. He had thanked her for making it easier. Now it will be. Debbie types the reply herself. I'm sorry. Meet me at the shipyard at 10. I took beer from the garage. Need to talk alone. His answer comes at once. Knew you'd calm down. Debbie sets the phone down and looks at Lexi. You are going to stay here. If he writes again, he is writing to me. Lexi stares at her. Mom, what are you doing? I'm taking his choices away. Downstairs, Debbie goes into the garden with a small knife and a jar. The poppies are where they always are, hidden in plain sight among everything prettier. She takes what she needs, goes back inside, and laces one beer with enough opium to drop a boy his size without making the scene sloppy. The second bottle stays clean. She packs both in a small cooler. The shipyard at night smells like salt, rust, wet wood, and diesel. Lexi's boyfriend is already there when Debbie pulls in. He gets out of his car expecting Lexi and stops short when he sees her mother instead. Where's Lexi? At home. He laughs once, mean and uncertain, Then why am I here? Because you wanted something from my daughter, Debbie says, and I wanted to hear you say it. She opens the cooler and hands him a beer. He hesitates. Then pride makes the decision for him. He takes the bottle, opens it, and drinks. Debbie opens her own and barely wets her lips. He starts talking, because boys like this always do. Lexi is overreacting. Everybody sends stuff. He never actually posted anything. He only wanted her to stop ignoring him. The pictures were insurance. If she behaved, nobody got hurt. Insurance. That word settles something in Debbie. He drinks again and again. The first change is in his eyes, then his footing, then his voice, which starts to drag at the edges. He tries to straighten up and misses by a mile. What did you? He does not finish. You need to sit down, Debbie says. He tries to swear at her and ends up dropping hard onto the bench instead. The bottle slips from his hand. Debbie kicks it aside before it can roll away. My phone, she says. No, she takes it from his pocket herself.